Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Locked On NBA. On today's show, Kyle Lowry makes his Miami Heat debut. The Timberwolves impress, and the NBA is more three happy than ever. We bring you our overreactions to a loaded Monday night slate of preseason basketball. That's all coming up next here on a Tuesday episode of Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA, everybody. I'm Wes Goldberg here with David Ramil, and we're not really technically in the first night of preseason basketball. I guess technically that was Sunday with the Lakers and the Nets playing, but this was really kind of the first night of preseason basketball. 9 games, 18 teams. That's more than half the league, David. Now, 18 teams played. Some players played well. Some players did not play well. Some players did not play well at all. We're going to get to all of that stuff with our overreactions, because what a better way to kick off the start of the 2021-22 season than with a bunch of overreactions. This can't go wrong, I don't think.
No, absolutely not. None of this matters, but we're all leaning into it 100%. It's the first preseason game, really. I mean, that Sunday game between Brooklyn and Los Angeles didn't really count. 19 or 18 teams in action, 9 games. So much to take out of those games. So much that's certainly going to be able to extrapolate over an 82-game regular season too. So I'm sure we're going to be able to mine a lot of useful information out of this one.
Well, let's try. I mean, there is some stuff happening. I know we're going to go overreaction heavy, but I'm going to start with a kind of a lukewarm overreaction here. Right. Kyle Lowry is going to be the most important offseason addition in the NBA. Now, I didn't use the word free agent addition, because I think if I said free agent, I'd be like, well, duh, you know. But offseason addition, I mean, Russell Westbrook changed teams. I mean, all that kind of stuff. I mean, but I think Kyle Lowry is going to be the most impactful offseason addition. 5 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds in 15 minutes. Okay, so it didn't jump off the page, but if you watch that game, David, the Heat were noticeably different. The Heat last year finished in the NBA 29th in pace. They with a pace of 97.09 possessions per 100 per 48 minutes. But with Kyle Lowry on the floor in those 15 minutes that he played Monday night, the Heat played with a pace of 116.7. Okay, that would have ranked first by a mile last season. Now, I know that he only played 15 minutes, and it was a preseason game where everybody was fresh and not really trying that hard on defense and stuff like that. But I don't care. I think Kyle Lowry is going to be a hugely impactful player for Miami. He's going to basically change their entire identity offensively, and I'm ready for it.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's going to take much prodding for me to talk about tonight's effort from the Heat. They looked fantastic without Jimmy Butler. And look, I had just talked about this in my previous episode. I had some concerns about who was going to be running the offense over the last 2 seasons. It's mostly gone through Jimmy, with some exception, going to Bam Adebayo, Goran Dragic to a lesser degree, Tyler Hero, Andre Iguodala, guys like that, occasionally, initiating offense. But tonight it was all Kyle. And to, you echo Eric Spoelstra, because it's something that he's been saying so regularly about Kyle Lowry. He plays with intention. He pushes the pace. It's not just, moving fast. It's also just moving quickly and with intention. He's just looking to initiate. He's looking to make sure that the guys are in the right spots. He looks ahead. He threw a half-court lob on a fast break opportunity. We know he's been doing this for years in Toronto, but he just instantly adds something to Miami's offense that hasn't been there since the Big Three era. I don't think that's overstating things. Like, we haven't seen that dynamic offense from them ever, and that's since the Big Three era. So I think
I love that. Would have been a better overreaction. That this is the best Big Three. This is a better Big Three than the old Miami Heat Big Three that won 2 championships. Are you ready to go that far?
No, absolutely not. Not with 3 Hall of Famers on there.
Kyle Lowry's on his way to the Hall of Fame, and Spoelstra, you mentioned like the quick hitting stuff and all that stuff. Spoelstra used the word synapses. He's like, your synapses have to be firing when you're on the floor with Kyle Lowry. Now, look, I don't know how many Miami Heat fans watched Toronto games.
Not many, judging by the overreaction to his signing.
Yeah, and so, but I know that a lot of people tuning into Locked On NBA are NBA nerds and love this stuff and have probably watched a lot of Kyle Lowry. But it is still interesting to see somebody who is 35 years old, who's career happened mostly in one era. I know he played for a few different teams, but he played for Toronto for so long and was such an institution there. For him to do what he did there and then just bring that to Toronto or to Miami from Toronto on a team with Bam Adebayo, with Jimmy Butler. Grant, like you said, Jimmy didn't play tonight, but Kyle's going to have the ball in his hands a whole lot, and they're talking about playing Jimmy off the ball more. It's going to free up Bam Adebayo to play it off the ball more. Kyle Lowry will play off the ball some, but I think that it was very noticeable really early on that him and PJ Tucker, along with Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and Bam Adebayo, there's a confidence, there's a quickness, there's a tempo to them that they just never had, like you said, since the Big Three era. Let's move on to our next overreaction, and we'll go with one of yours.
Well, I was just thinking about the team that Kyle just left behind, the Toronto Raptors. They had a pretty impressive win over the Philadelphia 76ers. Of course, they were without Ben Simmons. They also did not play Joel Embiid. A lot of their starting lineup was missing. However, that didn't stop Toronto and their new, young, and exciting team from taking advantage. And one particular player that stood out to me, that's OG Anonuby, had 21 points, 7 of 12 shooting. I think he's turning a new leaf in his career here. I think he's really ready to become an all-star. And I think that we're going to start seeing that development this year. OG Anonuby will develop into an all-star just because he's going to be, he's going to be, is that an overreaction? I didn't think
that's a great overreaction. That's what we're talking about. I came out kind of weak sauce with my Kyle Lowry is going to be an important player. Big deal. You come out with OG Anonuby is going to be an all-star this season. I love it.
I think he's going to get the attention that he wasn't going to get, not necessarily playing in a shadow of Fred VanVleet or Pascal Siakam or Kyle Lowry, but just he's going to be putting up more shots. It's been a slow development from him where he's able to initiate offense on his own. He's been able to stretch the floor. What, 3 of 3? I mean, 40% shooting last year was not a fluke. I think he's going to be a really, really good player. And certainly defensively, he's always been very good. That kind of versatility on the perimeter, being able to body up bigger guys in the paint. I think he's shown some incredible progress there. I really like his growth up to this point, and I think now he's going to get even more opportunities. Siakam sat out, so he got a lot more touches than he would normally get, but I still think he's going to be able to get more chances, and I think he's going to be able to capitalize enough to become an all-star.
I love it. Also playing a 76ers team that was without Ben Simmons because he hates everybody.
That doesn't matter.
And without Joel Embiid because they are resting him or whatever. But I love it. At this point, for this season, would you rather have OJ Anonuby or Kawhi Leonard?
Well, I mean, clearly Anunoby, I think, or Anunoby.
Yeah, he's going to be an all-star.
He's going to be an all-star, and he's going to actually play. So I think that's going to be a huge thing.
That's a great overreaction. We're going to have more overreactions. We have some from Minnesota, and we have a big one happening in Oklahoma City that's coming up next. But first, David, tell the listeners about our sponsors.
Well, I've told them about it before, but I'll tell you about them again. It's DirecTV Stream. It's a simple way to get all your entertainment, all of the entertainment you love without the hassle. They bring your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, which means you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So stop waiting and get your TV together on DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. And now this is a new sponsor. Maybe you've heard about them. They're called Shopify. They give entrepreneurs like you the resources once reserved for big businesses. So upstarts, startups, established businesses alike can sell everywhere, synchronize online and in-person sales, and effortlessly stay informed. It's more than just a store. You can connect with your customers. You can drive sales. It can manage your day-to-day resources. It instantly lets you accept all major payment methods, and it's tirelessly reinventing tools of growth for over 1.7 million businesses, helping them succeed every day. They unlock the opportunities of your business to more people every day. Every 28 seconds, an entrepreneur like you makes their first sale on Shopify. I love how Shopify has the tools and resources that make it easy for any business to succeed. From down the street to around the globe, go to shopify.com/LockedOnNBA. That's all lowercase letters for a free 14-day trial and get full access to Shopify's entire suite of features. Grow your business with Shopify today. Go to shopify.com/LockedOnNBA right now. That's shopify.com/LockedOnNBA.
All right. So continuing on with our overreactions to our first night of preseason basketball, first real night of preseason basketball. The Timberwolves beat the Pelicans 117-114 in Minnesota. D'Angelo Russell, okay, 19 points on 6 for 10 shooting, 5 assists. Karl Anthony Towns, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. And then Anthony Edwards, 10 points, just packing the box score here. 10 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Again, Minnesota getting a nice win over the Pelicans without Zion Williamson and a bunch of other players, but a nice win nonetheless in Minnesota with everything that's going on with the Timberwolves. I think still with all the weird changes in front office stuff, everything like that, the fact that they probably can't really play defense at an NBA level, I don't care. I love the big three of D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns, and Anthony Edwards. I think D'Lo is your scorer. You can get it from everywhere on the floor. I think he's just been much maligned over the last few years. I think he's got a home in Minnesota. We didn't see a lot of D'Lo, Cat, and Edwards together last season, not until the very end of last season. And what we saw was promising, and then what we saw tonight in this preseason game was very promising. I love this Timberwolves big three, and so here's my overreaction, David. The Minnesota Timberwolves will be the surprise team in the Western Conference, and they are going to the playoffs.
I like that. I don't even think that's much of an overreaction. I think it's fair. I mean, look, I will say calling them a big three is a vast overstatement, but that's fine. This is part of the theme of the show. Yeah. I think we're using that big three terminal.
If the big three could just be 3 players who score double digits, I think that, and then we're
maybe
fine.
Yeah, kind of sort of, yeah.
Lou Dort, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Josh Giddey, the big three.
Yeah, you're getting ahead of yourself. That's my OKC take. But anyway, you know what? I like Minnesota being frisky, right? I mean, they got that potential. I mean, okay? How about at this point? Is it better for them to not make the trade for Ben Simmons because they've been linked to the Sixers for a long period now? Yeah. Do you think that they're at a position where they'd be better off not acquiring Simmons, assuming that Simmons was I think at this point he'd be willing to go to any team not named Philadelphia. Are they better off without or with Simmons?
I know that this is an overreaction and I'm supposed to be in love with this big three, but if they can get Ben Simmons and it just costs you D'Angelo Russell and some picks and some other stuff, do it, because maybe now's the time to go all in, right? Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, like they're ready right now. Go all in. Maybe that's what you do. I'm fine with that overreaction too.
Form a new big three in Minnesota after
an upgraded big three, a bigger three even. One might say. No, I like what they did tonight. Obviously, I like that starting lineup with Okogie. To me, makes sense. You have a defender out there who, if he can hit some threes more consistently this year, I think that he makes a lot of sense. I know that there was some talk about Vanderbilt potentially starting in that spot. You obviously have Jay McDaniels there as well, who's a nice young player, kind of combo forward. There's players that I like on that roster. Look, I know I said that they're going to be a surprise team in the West and make the playoffs. More realistically, if we're going to just go instead of overstatement, just statement, then maybe they're a surprise team in the West in that they win more games than we thought. Maybe they win more games than Oklahoma City, Houston, San Antonio. Maybe they win more than Sacramento. I think that could still be surprising for some people who watch that Minnesota team over the last few years. But that's my overreaction. I like that big three together. I do. And that's not my overreaction. It's an overreaction to call them a big three, but I do like that I do like that trio together and some of the young pieces that they have.
They've got to figure it out at some point, right? I mean, it's just, we've been waiting for years, but I think even before you mentioned this one to me, I thought that they would make the playoffs for the first time in 4 seasons after losing Jimmy Butler. And I thought that was pretty much, we're kind of seeing eye to eye. They've got potential there. At some point, these young players have to kind of develop that kind of chemistry. You've talked about the balance in that roster. I agree with you. I think they're a playoff team.
I like Anthony Edwards, man. I always did. All right, fine. Moving on to yours.
Well, this is the other end of the spectrum for a team that's rising like Minnesota. You've got a team that's dropping, and they're going to drop to the all-time worst record in NBA history. That's the Oklahoma City Thunder, who will not win 10 games this year. They're going to go 9-73 to set an all-time record of futility. And Thunder fans out there are probably loving every bit of that overreaction. I think as much as it might pain them to see a really, really bad team out there on the floor for 82 games, the fact is they're not too worried about this season anyway. And so they're hoping to stick as much as possible because it gives them a chance at converting 18 of their first round picks over the next few years into some nice prospects down the road there. So I think they're going to set an all-time record of futility there. Worse than the Charlotte Bobcats, worse than the Philadelphia 76ers that did it over the course of an 82-game season. Of course, the Bobcats did it back in 2011-12 when it was a strike-shortened season.
7-59. Yep.
Yeah,
They went
fantastic.
759. And then the Sixers in 2016 went 10-72. So you have OKC worse. And then the 1973 Philadelphia 76ers went 9-73. So you have OKC maybe tying that Sixers team for the worst record ever.
8-74. That's all. That's a lot. Like,
that's a lot of games to not win. I love it though. That's the overreaction. They win less than that. 8 games.
Yeah.
All right.
I think
you mentioned like it's gonna be hard for Thunder fans to see their team do that. In order to see your team do that, you have to actually watch the games. And if you're a Thunder fan, I don't see any point in watching the games this year. I mean, Josh Giddey is nice. Like, okay, like we got something there at number 6 maybe, but the worst case scenario would be picking at number 6 again. If you're Oklahoma City, you want that number 1 pick. You want that top pick in this draft that's coming up. The Thunder thing though, man. I mean, look, if you're gonna run Sam Hinkie out of town for the process in Philadelphia, I mean, at some point, when does the NBA step in and go to Oklahoma City and be like, look, you literally have more draft picks than roster spots right now. Like, you just can't do this. Right. And I know OKC is a small market that nobody cares about, and Philadelphia is a big market that a lot of people care about. But at some point, the NBA, like, this is kind of ridiculous. I mean, if they do what you are saying that they will do in your overreaction and have the worst record in NBA history, the NBA has to be like, look, Sam Presti, we know that Twitter loves you, but at some point you got to do something, right? I never understood all the Sam Presti love, by the way. Like, just trade good players for draft picks and automatically your fans love you? Like, is it that simple?
Well, that and the fact that he also acquired 3 MVPs over the course of consecutive drafts. I mean, I think that's that's pretty good, right? I mean,
10 years ago. There was so many big threes ago.
Yeah. Hundreds and hundreds of them across the league. Look, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what we can do anything about this. Like, they're in a position now where
tell them to try to win games. Just tell, like, look, don't, like, hey, next time when you try to trade Lou Dort for a protected 2nd round pick, no, you can't do it.
Okay, how about this? How about this ultimate scenario? If to help them on their quest to be the worst team of all time, trading Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that's when the league has to step in. They have to be you have to have at least one serviceable player on your roster, and that's Shai. I think that's where they'll finally step in.
We're getting dangerously close to the point where the Oklahoma City Thunder are not going to be as good as the Oklahoma City Blue, right? That's their G League team still. Like, at what point they're just like, hey, just throw the Blue out there and they'll win more games.
It's happened before. We've seen kind of upgraded G League rosters on an NBA level. I think it makes sense.
David, what do you know about Bet Online?
I know that they are the number 1 place for all your football action because football season's back and better than ever. Maybe not in Miami, but otherwise across the NFL, you've got a lot in college, of course. If you're looking for all your action on football, then BetOnline is your number 1 spot for all of it because they've got a new upgraded site and interface, even more odds and props and contests. BetOnline continues to be your number 1 source for everything football. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. And don't forget to use the promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus from football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Back here with Locked On NBA. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. And for your second listen, if you're listening to this, I imagine you're a fan of a specific NBA team. Go check out the Locked On podcast show about your favorite NBA team. Maybe you're a fan of the Miami Heat. Check out David's Locked On Heat. Maybe you're a Warriors fan. Check out Locked On Warriors. Maybe you're another fan. Definitely not a Thunder fan. Probably not. But if you are for some reason, check out Locked On Thunder. All right. I got a couple more things for you. The first one is that the Raptors have a player named Justin Chaponier, and he scored a team-high 17 points. And I only know this because he scored a team-high 17 points. I was looking at box scores. I've never heard about this player before, but his name is 1 letter off from just being Champagne. And Justin Champagne would be the coolest name in the NBA, and it would not even be close. And that's not an overreaction, David. So one of my overreactions is that Justin Champagne should just change his name to Justin Champagne, and he'll have a top 10 selling jersey in the league in no time. And then he won't even need to score 17 points ever again. So that's my first Okay.
Can't you tie this in? No, can't you tie this in with Drake? Isn't he the champagne poppy or something like that? I mean,
yeah.
right?
I mean, he
You
could get a
gotta be.
sponsor deal with OVO. He could do the whole thing. He could be with Drake, and Drake could just there'd be a commercial where he's just pouring champagne, like that old Lil Wayne commercial. It was at like a T-Mobile, and he's pouring champagne on his phone. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
Yeah, and he's like, whatever. Just remake that instead of a phone, though. It'd just be Justin Champagne on a table and Drake pouring champagne all over him. And I don't know what it means, and I don't know what they're selling. Maybe champagne. You have a whole line of champagne called Justin Champagne. I think there's a wine brand called Justin, so they have to figure that out. Maybe you could partner with them. Boom, done. Figured it out all for you, Justin Champagne. All right. Here's my actual overreaction. So we're recording this. There are a few West Coast games wrapping up, but we are on pace for nearly 650 3-pointers to be taken across 9 preseason games. I mean, that is an insane bananas amount. And that my overreaction isn't that we are going to see more 3-pointers taken than ever before, because that literally happens every year now. So that's not so much of an overreaction. But here's my overreaction. More players than ever, I think, are going to attempt at least 10 3-pointers per game this year. All right. So just for reference, last year, only 3 players last season took at least 10 threes. And that was Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, Buddy Hield. All right. So James Harden used to be in that conversation, but he's taken a little bit less of a usage role in Brooklyn and might not get to that. But he could. Tonight, Monday night, Jaylen Brown took 12 3-pointers. Trey Murphy III, in his first NBA game, took 10 threes. Bogdan Bogdanovic in Atlanta took 9 in 23 minutes. Jordan Clarkson in Utah took 8 in 15 minutes. Steph Curry and Damian Lillard, they're in a duel right now in Portland. And, well, not really, because the Warriors are crushing them in the midway through the fourth quarter. But Steph took 8 in 19 minutes. Lillard took 7 in 18 minutes, but I think both of them are going to shoot at least 15 a game this year, which would be career highs, I think, for both of them, certainly for Steph. I think we're going to see more players than ever just jack it up nonstop, 10 plus threes per game for maybe 10 different players, which I think would be an insane amount.
10 players averaging 10 or more attempts per game.
I think we're getting there.
I think we're just shy of that. I don't think 10. I mean, just a big leap from 3 to 10. But
that's why it's an overreaction.
You're right. You know what? Let's lean into it. Too many threes out there. We got to stop the game. Go back to go back to low post scoring. And
it's time to extend the 3-point range and narrow the post. Extend the 3-point line and narrow the post so that players like Andre Drummond can continue to feast.
Future All-Star. I questioned what the motivation was, and some Philadelphia people pointed out that he was going to get paid a lot of money if he continues to play well. He had a really nice game against, again, a likely rebuilding Toronto team, but at the same time, I'm just not sure that we're going to see 82 great games from Andre Drummond. Joel Embiid didn't play. What's the likelihood of Drummond being a consistently good player for 82 games?
Well, in the spirit of the show, I think it's 100% he's going to be an all-star, and he's going to continue to put up these great numbers, and he's going to get a max contract.
Can you put Drummond and Embiid on the floor at the same time?
I think you are zagging when the rest of the league is zigging, and I love it. So, I mean, what's the difference between Andre Drummond and Ben Simmons being out there? Neither of them space the floor.
Damn! Wow, you're got the hot take cannon set on slaughter today.
I can't wait. I can't wait for my mentions. It's an overreaction pod, people. Anything else before we wrap this up?
I don't know. Tyler Hero MVP, maybe he's going to top 10 MVP candidate after scoring 26 points.
Preseason's high score so far.
Yep, that's him. And look, he's put on 12 to 15 pounds of muscle. You can tell that there's some renewed and reinvigorated athleticism. Mm-hmm. He's a player that I was high on last year. And of course, with the short turnaround between the Orlando bubble and the start of last year's COVID season, never really got any kind of footing. I think he's a player that's been overlooked and slept on a little bit. And I think he's going to have a nice breakout. So maybe MVP might be overstating things just a little bit, but you know what? Overreaction pod. Why not? MVP candidate, top 10 player.
Can he be in the mix? Can he be in the mix? Can he be in the conversation?
Absolutely. Why not?
He had one chase down block tonight. It was really close to being 2. One got called back for a goaltend, but it was really close. and he had 17 blocks all of last year. He had like 8 or 9 blocks as a rookie. He nearly had 2 of them in his first preseason game. If Tyler Hero is going to get in that mix for the MVP, I think he could also lead the league in blocks. I mean, why not? If he's going to average, 1 or 2 a game, he'll be right there. At least, maybe he'll be the next Dwayne Wade as far as blocking guards. All right. I think that's enough overreaction. My brain hurts now.
I think so. I think we're done.
Right.
Maybe we'll have some more overreactions next week too, because it's the preseason.
It is.
I don't know how much we can actually glean from all of the action that we've seen here. Is there anything realistically, maybe not an overreaction, that you think you can take away from any of these games here, other than Justin Champagny?
Well, I knew this was sort of a gimmick, but I do think that in talking about overreactions, people who are actually listening picked up on the nuances of our very smart basketball takes and brains. And they actually, I think there is stuff that you could take from it, right? I think like the Kyle Lowry stuff that I was talking about is real. Like all the threes that we're talking about, like that's a real thing. OG Anonuby is going to be a good player. Who knows? I think that there's stuff there, and I'm just overreactions is a perfect way to talk about it because we're just really excited for the NBA season to be back, for fans to be in the stands more than they ever have been, and for us to be crawling back to a post-pandemic world, but crawling forward nonetheless. And just super jazzed to have basketball back.
Absolutely.
All right, that'll do it for us today. Remember to subscribe to Locked On NBA on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app. We'll be back here next Tuesday. You can keep subscribing, listening to Locked On NBA for the rest of the week. But if you want more of David Ramil, you could find him over at Locked On Heat. If you want more of me for some reason, check out Locked On Warriors. But that's it for us today on Locked On NBA. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Justin Champagny.
Champagny.